So, welcome to the Ask DVCC show. Today's question, I know I'm really stressed and I know I need to reduce my stress to be healthier. How do I do that? I think in terms of a couple of things. You may have heard of sympathetic or parasympathetic. Sympathetic, you're being chased by a lion, you're under a lot of stress. That's sympathetic. Parasympathetic would be when you're relaxed, you're well rested. For most of us, sympathetic comes from small micro level doses of stress. So work stress, emotional stress. So then what becomes the solution? It's almost like you want to think in terms of a menu that you can then choose the things that I do that are parasympathetic for me. Some ideas to things to think about doing. Meditation. So many different apps that you can use for this just to try. Oak is one that I like. It's just guided meditation. I've done transcendental meditation as well, but to be honest, it's very individual. You just listen to it, follow it along. You can do 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And the thing with all of these things, a small amount done frequently is probably better than trying to do too much. So you're better off doing 10 minutes every day rather than trying to do 2 blocks of 20 minutes. Breath work. So this is becoming very popular, but breath work. So when I say breath work, it means running through certain ways of breathing, in through your nose for maybe 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, out through your mouth for 4 seconds, and then again holding for 4 seconds. That's called box breathing. That's one that I quite like to do. Again, it's quite individual. You can really, there's no right or wrong. Going for a walk in nature, that would be parasympathetic, a way of de-stressing you. Now, if you take your phone, which pings off with emails every 2 minutes, which is one of the things that stresses you out, then not so parasympathetic. But if you leave your phone behind, because that is one of the things that you note stresses you, then that would be classed as parasympathetic. Some other ideas, I mean, this is pretty extreme, but you'll have maybe seen a lot of news around ice baths, cold water bathing, or even simply having a 3-minute cold shower. That's what I do currently. That's quite extreme, so I'm not suggesting you necessarily have to do that. There's a menu of different things that are parasympathetic for you, and you choose which ones you do. So really think in terms of what am I doing that is parasympathetic. One of the easy things to think of is what am I doing that is sympathetic that I don't have to do. So for example, drinking too much caffeine. That can definitely make you feel a level of stress, basically anxious from having too much caffeine. Not sleeping enough. So not sleeping enough would put you into a sympathetic state. Sleeping enough would be parasympathetic. Yes, you can survive off less, but doesn't mean that you're optimal. Because we're talking about being optimal and being into a parasympathetic state. That is when you're able to handle stress better. Everyone's probably experienced it where you just don't feel great and any little thing sets you off. I always think about that when someone's going crazy with road rage. It's probably not that thing that's caused that. It's probably a build-up of other stresses. And so we're talking about things that can take us away from that kind of pent-up aggression, sympathetic state into that parasympathetic state. Hydrating enough is something very simple. So being dehydrated would move you closer to being in that sympathetic kind of state. Conversely, drinking enough, being hydrated, would put you into a parasympathetic state. So for a man, on average, generally, 3 litres is a good target. For a lady, 2 litres is a good target. Now, if you're drinking half a litre, don't expect to be able to get to 2 litres in a couple of days. Take it over a week, just gradually build it up. Hopefully that gives you a few ideas of things that you can do to think about trying to put yourself into a more parasympathetic state, less stressed. Give it a shot, give me any feedback, and thanks for watching the Ask DVCC show.